In the past, there was a lot of debate about the anabolic window and how much it matters to muscular adaptation, protein synthesis, glycogen stores, and your overall recovery. Some papers even argue that the post-exercise period is the most critical and crucial part of nutrient timing. Further, a lot of you guys ask themselves if whole foods can actually replace protein powders in a post-workout meal. But hey, if we just met, my name is Luke Jaque-Rodney. I'm about to complete my master's degrees in sports science. I'm a passionate semi-professional triathlete, and on this channel I will answer all your questions about performance, minute nutrition and sports science. And if you want to know all about post-workout meals, this video is exactly for you. To give you a short overview about today's topic, here are the main chapters we will cover, but there are also timestamps in the description if you want to jump to certain chapters. Glycogen is essential for optimal resistance training, and therefore replenishment of glycogen stores should be a primary target of every single post-workout meal. Glycogen are nothing else than stored carbohydrates in your muscles and can be released fast when you exercise at high intensity, such as the weight training. Whereas fat cells, for instance, are primarily being used when you train at a lower intensity, such as running or swimming or bike riding, as fat cells are more resistant against fatigue as glycogen cells and will make you maintain the entire exercise for a longer period of time. In order to make you understand why carbs in a post-workout meal, or aka fully loaded glycogen stores, are so important and crucial, I'd like to present you these findings of McDougall et al. A single set of elbow flexion performed at 80% of your maximum strength led to a reduction in 12% mixed muscle glycogen. 3 sets of the same exercise resulted in a 23% decrease of muscle glycogen. And findings suggest that the larger your muscles are, the more local glycogen is needed, as Roberts et al. Reported that 3 sets of 12 repetitions performed to muscular failure led to a 26% reduction of glycogen stores in the vastus lateralis. So what does this mean? If you now take a look at your training plan, which I presume includes multiple exercises and multiple muscle groups. By the way, just let me know how you split your training. You'll come to the easy conclusion that most of your local glycogen stores, and local means only the muscles which you target in the certain exercise, are in a great chance to be exhausted. But why does this matter? What happens in your cells? Why is this so important to know? And why is it important that carbs should be ingested after training? After training, your muscles are in a catabolic state, which means nothing else than muscle breakdown. So when you work out, your strength curve first goes down, which also explains why we are weaker immediately after we train. And then your muscular system slowly adapts in the upcoming days and results in an overcompensation, which will then, as you might know, make you lift heavier in the next session. And this drop here at this point can be decreased by ingesting adequate amount of carbohydrates immediately after your training, and can be beneficial to your desired training results and outcomes. And yes, it does matter if you take carbs immediately after your training or 2 hours later, as the rate of muscle glycogen resynthesis decreases by 50% if you wait for 2 hours instead of consuming carbs immediately after your workout. But I know you've all been waiting for how much carbs should you exactly take. And it's indicated that consuming 0.5 to 0.6 of carbs per kilogram of body weight, rapidly absorbed carbs, every 30 minutes after your workout until the next huge meal, does sustain a high rate of glycogen restore. If you weigh 50 kilograms, this means, for instance, a large banana. For 60 kilograms, it will be a large banana and 100 grams of blueberries. For 70 kilograms, a large banana, 30 to 40 grams of dates. For 80 kilograms, 2 large bananas and around 40 grams of dates. And if you weigh 90 kilograms, a smoothie with 2 large bananas, 100 grams of blueberries and 40 to 50 grams of dates or other dried fruits will do the job. But of course, adding carbs to your post-workout meal isn't enough. You also want to add protein, as a combination of protein and carbs causes higher insulin spikes, which transports more carbs directly into your cells after training, and therefore seems to be the ideal combination for a post-workout meal. However, and it does hurt to tell you this after giving you all this valuable information, but this is only relevant if you train similar muscle groups within the next 24 hours. What do I mean by this? If you train 2 to 3 times per week, the storage of your muscle glycogen isn't a concern for you. Even if you train every day but do train completely different muscle groups, or the type of exercise requires different energy supply. For instance, one day heavy intense weight training, one day moderate bike ride, immediate glycogen storage isn't as important as you might think. If it comes to muscle hypertrophy effects, which we all want to achieve in the long term, there's still a huge debate going on whether immediate protein ingestions make sense or not. The problem is that most studies often do not differentiate between post and pre-workout meals, and the results are rather, or sometimes are a little misleading. Moreover, we all know, like this one guy who's like seems to be muscular AF, doesn't care about his protein at all and still like builds all these muscles. However, there are 2 aspects which we do know about and which you can start implementing in your post-workout meal strategy like immediately. First, the magic spot seems to be at around 20 grams of protein after a workout. Additional 10 grams of protein have no additional stimulation to your muscles, but it can also be a little more than 20 grams. That's the reason why I said around 20 grams, because the sweet spot also could be at 22, 23, 24, but everything way above 20 grams leads to an excess of amino, which causes the body to get rid of the excess protein and therefore just gets, well, peed out, I guess. However, and this is in contrary what most people do tell you, you should be aware of the fact that trained athletes usually need lower protein intakes as beginners, as trained athletes' muscles can optimize the protein intake and convert dietary protein easier as beginners can. So if you're hitting the gym like since years, you might just go with 20 grams, 21 grams of protein, but if you're a beginner or triathlete or runner and weight training is just like an additional training for you, you want to consider going with a few grams more. Same also accounts for muscle age. Like if you are a younger athlete, your body can maximize muscle protein synthesis, whereas older athletes may require higher protein to recover from intense workouts. If it comes to whole foods, you certainly can swap your protein powder into a whole meal. But not only that, whole foods do have the same effect as isolated amino acids, but due to their variety of nutrients, such as minerals and vitamins, they can potentiate the use of dietary amino acids for post-workout muscle protein rates. However, there are some athletes which just aren't able to eat these huge amounts of whole foods due to their volume, and therefore I think consuming a small amount of proteins from a protein shake is totally okay and definitely the more convenient way sometimes. But if you have periods of reduced calorie intake, such as weightlifters or boxers have, then whole food protein sources are the best conclusion, simply because they do fill you up for longer due to the fiber, the minerals and the vitamins. And you also shouldn't forget that whole foods often contain huge amounts of minerals and vitamins which support overall health, of course. For instance, do blueberries have an anti-inflammatory effect on your body, which can speed up the recovery process and reduce soreness. My conclusion and recommendation is that if you're able to eat whole foods immediately after training, you should go with a whole food protein shake. I have whole food protein shakes here on the channel with 20 grams of protein at least. So you can check them out after this video. But having a conventional protein shake is also fine, but then you should make sure that the meal 2 to 3 hours after your workout is rich in macronutrients. Easy sample post-workout snacks are, as I just mentioned, whole food protein shakes, but what also works perfectly are rice cakes with peanut butter or cooked potatoes and tofu, soy milk, chocolate powder, or simply hummus with breadsticks. I hope you got value out of this video. If so, then hit the like button. I would really be pleased if you subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Have a good day.